Hello, you're on the Reddit Reveals channel. There were three things on the kitchen table: a half-full glass of milk, her phone turned face down, and a sealed envelope with my name written on it in her handwriting, the kind she only used when signing birthday cards or funeral guest books. And she was just standing there, already holding it, like she'd been waiting all day for me to walk through the door so she could hand it over and watch me open it. But I didn't open it. I stared at her instead. She didn't blink, didn't speak, just slowly extended the envelope, like I was supposed to know what came next. "Lars," she said, in this soft, deliberate voice I hadn't heard since her mother died. "There's something you need to know." I didn't take the envelope. Not right away. My palms were sweating. My backpack was still sliding off one shoulder. It hit the floor with a dull thud. I finally asked, "Is it bad?" She didn't answer, but the look on her face, that dull, rehearsed calm, told me everything. Whatever was inside that envelope had already happened. It wasn't a warning. It was a confession. And the worst part? She'd already packed a bag. Not a suitcase. A bag. Like she didn't know where she was going yet, only that it wouldn't be here. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't the beginning of a conversation. It was the end of one. Still gripping the envelope between her fingers, she said something I didn't expect. I didn't plan to fall in love with him, but I planned everything after that. She didn't cry. I did. Right there. Before I even opened the letter. Before I even asked who. Before I could yell or demand an explanation or collapse like I wanted to. I just cried. She placed the envelope on the table. Whispered, "You deserve the truth, but I don't think I can say it out loud." Then she left. Not slammed the door, left. Not dramatics. Just gone. And I was standing there, dripping on the kitchen floor from the rain I hadn't noticed, staring at a piece of paper that was about to shatter everything I thought I understood. I wish I had burned it instead. But I opened it. And I swear to God, I didn't even make it past the second line before I felt my entire body go cold. Because the man she confessed to loving wasn't who I thought. And that's only the beginning. The envelope was trembling in my hands. Not because the paper was heavy or cold, but because I was. Every part of me was resisting the moment. I don't even remember sitting down, but I did. Right in the creaky kitchen chair we bought from that yard sale 3 years ago. Letty had insisted we age it ourselves. Well, here we were, aged and falling apart. My fingers dug into the edge of the seal. It peeled slowly, like the universe was giving me one last chance to stop, to walk away, to pretend this wasn't happening. But I didn't. I opened it. The first line read, "If you're reading this, I couldn't say it to your face. No greeting. No, dear Lars. No, I'm sorry. Just that. That cold, matter-of-fact sentence that instantly made me feel like a stranger in my own life." The second line? That's where the oxygen left the room. "It's not Rylan." What? I reread it 3 times. My mind had already made peace with it being Rylan. The smug coworker, the mean guy, the predictable office crush. But now she was telling me it wasn't even him. I wasn't relieved. I was terrified. Because that meant it was someone else, someone I hadn't even considered. Someone worse, maybe. Someone closer. The letter didn't jump to names. It twisted the knife slowly. It talked about feelings. About how people change. About how she hadn't felt seen in months. About how sometimes love dies quietly, like a power outage, not a bang, just a fade. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the letter in half. But I couldn't stop reading. Because the longer I read, the more I realized this wasn't a letter, it was an autopsy. And then, finally, near the bottom, the name. And I swear I felt the blood in my body freeze. "Emery," she wrote. "It's Emery." I blinked. Once. Twice. And then I just laughed. A broken, bitter, twisted laugh that turned into a cough halfway through. Because Emery wasn't a coworker. Emery wasn't her boss. Emery wasn't even someone new. Emery was my oldest friend. My groomsman. My roommate from college. The guy who crashed on our couch when he was too drunk to drive. The guy who helped us paint this house when we bought it. The guy who once cried to me because his girlfriend left him for someone else. He was family. And now? Now he was this. I dropped the letter. I didn't tear it. I don't know why. Maybe because I needed to reread it later to confirm I wasn't hallucinating. Maybe because destroying it wouldn't erase what I now knew. I stood up, wobbled really, and wandered through the kitchen like a man looking for a trapdoor. I opened the fridge, closed it, turned on the tap, turned it off. I had no idea what I was doing. My brain was spinning in 30 directions. She had said in the letter. It started after that weekend at the lake. And the worst part? I was the one who invited him. The weekend at the lake was supposed to be a reset. Things had been tense between me and Letty for a while by then. Nothing explosive, just the kind of slow, silent erosion that happens when you both stop trying at the same time. You don't notice it day by day, but then one afternoon she walks into the kitchen and forgets to tell you she loves you, and you don't even feel surprised. So I thought maybe if we got out of the city, out of the routine, maybe if we replaced the buzz of notifications and late work nights with fireflies and cheap wine and bare feet on the dock, we'd remember what we used to be. Emery wasn't part of the original plan. He had just gone through a bad breakup, number 4 that year, I think, and texted me the day before, saying he needed to get out of town. I said sure, without even asking Letty. That was my first mistake. When I told her, she gave me this tight-lipped smile and said, of course. He could use the company. But something was off even then. I remember watching her repack her bag that night, neatly folding her clothes, picking out a different dress, and wondering why she changed the outfit she'd already laid out. Now I know. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just rewriting the past in my head, trying to spot clues that weren't there. The cabin wasn't fancy, but it was quiet. Trees thick as secrets, lakes smooth as glass. The kind of place where time moved slower and voices carried. Emery brought bourbon. Letty brought that book she never actually opened. I brought hope. The first night, we drank on the porch. Emery told stories I'd heard a dozen times, and Letty laughed like she hadn't. I watched her laugh. Too long. Too hard. It made me uncomfortable, but I chalked it up to the bourbon. She always got giggly when she drank. So I let it go. The next morning, I went into town to grab coffee and firewood. Alone. Emery was still asleep. Letty said she had a headache. She kissed me on the cheek and told me not to rush. I thought nothing of it. That was mistake number 2. I was gone 2 hours. Maybe less. When I came back, Emery was in the kitchen making eggs like he owned the place. Letty wasn't around. He said she'd gone for a walk. I remember that detail because it was weird. She never walked without music, and her headphones were still on the counter. I asked if she said where she was going. He shrugged. No eye contact. I felt it again, that flicker of discomfort, that quiet buzz behind my ribs. But I told myself I was being paranoid. Because why would I ever suspect them? Later that afternoon, I saw her by the dock. Alone. Staring at the water like she was trying to hypnotize herself into disappearing. I asked if everything was okay. She smiled. Tight. Unconvincing. I'm just tired, Lars. That's all she said. I didn't press. I should have. That was mistake number 3. Because somewhere between that morning and that night, a line had been crossed. A decision had been made. A seed had been planted. And I was too wrapped up in playing the good husband to notice the way the world was shifting under my feet. She and Emery didn't flirt. Not in front of me. There were no glances I could point to, no laughter that felt too intimate. It was worse than that. They were careful, deliberate, like they were already protecting something. That was 6 months ago, and now I was standing in my kitchen, reading her letter, realizing that the weekend I thought would save our marriage was the weekend she decided to bury it. And it gets worse, because buried in the bottom of that envelope was something else. A second note. But it wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to him. It was tucked behind the one addressed to me. A second envelope, smaller, thinner, with a single word on it, Emery. Her handwriting again. But this one wasn't sealed. It had already been opened. Not torn or folded, just slightly unglued at the flap, like someone had nervously peeked inside and thought better of it. I stared at it for a long time, as if just looking at it too hard might cause something irreversible to happen. And maybe it already had. I shouldn't have read it. I know that. But when your wife drops 2 bombs in one night, and one of them is clearly labeled with the name of the man she betrayed you with, curiosity isn't a choice. It's instinct. I picked it up. My hands shook again, worse than before. It felt like I was trespassing, even in my own kitchen. There were only a few lines. Shorter than mine. Colder. Not even a dear. Just straight into it. We said we wouldn't leave them broken. But I couldn't lie to him anymore. I stopped there, already nauseous. We said. That meant Emery had made promises, too. Not just a mistake. Not just one moment. It was a collaboration. A betrayal with boundaries and rules and whispered vows I never heard. I kept reading. I told him the truth. He deserved it. I don't know what happens next. But you promised you'd disappear if I did this. So disappear. I read that line over and over until my eyes blurred. You promised you'd disappear. So this wasn't just a letter of confession. It was a threat. Or no, worse, it was a request to vanish. To erase himself from our lives entirely, so she could come clean without dealing with the consequences of keeping him around. It wasn't guilt driving her. It was strategy. And that's when I realized something chilling. Emery hadn't texted me in weeks. The last message he sent was about football. A casual "you watching the game?" Nothing weird. But that was 26 days ago. He hadn't liked my last 3 posts. Hadn't called. Hadn't even sent me his usual Sunday meme dump. Not a word. And now I was wondering, did he know? Did he see this coming? Did he run? I pulled out my phone and opened our messages. The typing bubble stared back at me for far too long. What was I supposed to say? Did you sleep with my wife and then ghost both of us like a coward? No, that wasn't me. I wasn't built for confrontation. I was built for sitting in it, for absorbing it, for overthinking it until I drowned. So I didn't text him. I did something worse. I opened his location. He had shared it with me months ago when he got his new apartment. I never turned it off. And now? Now it said no location found. Gone. Just like she asked. My breath caught in my chest. Not blocked. Not turned off. Deleted. As if he had erased himself before I even opened the letter. As if the moment she handed me that envelope, he was already executing the plan. I sat down again, letter still in my hand, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted to escape before the rest of me crumbled. I thought the worst part was over. But then I noticed the time. It was 3:12 a.m. And Letty still hadn't come back. She left hours ago. Said she needed a walk. But her car was gone. Her phone was still on the counter. And I suddenly remembered something from her letter, something that hadn't registered at the time. I planned everything after that. She didn't just mean the affair. She meant what came next. And now, I had no idea where she was, or what she had planned for me. The first thing I did was check the closet. I don't know why. Maybe because I thought, irrationally, if her coat was still hanging there, then she couldn't have gone far. But it was gone. The green one with the fur-trimmed hood. The one she always wore when she wanted to clear her head. The one I had bought her 2 Christmases ago because I thought it made her look warm even when she was cold. Then I checked the shoe rack. The white sneakers. Missing. But her wallet? Still sitting on the console by the door, right where she always left it. Her ID, her credit cards, everything untouched. Even her keys were still on the hook. She hadn't driven, which meant the car was gone, but it wasn't her who took it. I opened the front door and stepped outside, barefoot and shaky, the cold from the tiles still clinging to my skin. The driveway was empty. Completely. Not just her car, mine too. And that's when my gut twisted hard enough to make me dizzy. There's no scenario where both of our cars are gone unless someone took them. Unless she wasn't alone. Unless someone picked her up. Unless. No, that wasn't it. I ran back inside, grabbed my phone, called her, straight to voicemail. Again, and again, and again. Then I tried texting. Me, where are you? Me, please, just tell me you're okay. Me, Letty, I'm serious. You left me letters. You left me this mess. Don't vanish now. No response. My fingers hovered over Emery's name in my contacts, but I didn't press it. Something about that second letter, you promised you'd disappear, told me he wouldn't pick up, if he was even still in the state. I sat down in the living room, surrounded by silence so thick it felt like insulation. My head was spinning. I wanted to scream, cry, punch a wall, but I didn't do any of those things. I just stared at the coffee table, where an old photo album was half opened from the night before, the one we flipped through during a wine-soaked attempt at reconnecting. I thought it had gone well. Guess I misread that too. I picked it up. Pages of smiles that now felt staged. Birthdays, beach trips, the wedding, our honeymoon in Vermont, where we got snowed in and ended up eating Pop-Tarts and playing cards by flashlight. I thought that memory meant something. Maybe it did. To me. And then something else struck me. Her planner. Letty was old school. She wrote everything down. Appointments, work meetings, random ideas, even grocery lists. I ran to her desk and yanked open the drawer. There it was, the red leather-bound book with gold corners. Still there. Still full. Still. I froze. Because there was something wedged between the pages. Something new. A bus ticket. Outbound. Not a return. And it wasn't for her. It was in my name. Printed, paid for, dated, for tomorrow morning. 7:40 a.m. From our city to a town I'd never heard of. And on the back, in her handwriting, 2 words. Please go. Nothing else. No explanation. No clue. No signature. Just that. Please go. I sat on the edge of her desk for what felt like an hour, holding that ticket like it was some cursed artifact. Everything about this night, the letters, the cars, the silence, the lies, was pointing me towards something. But I didn't know what. Was she trying to get rid of me? Protect me? Punish me? I didn't know. All I knew was I had no cars, no answers, and no wife in the house anymore. And something told me. She wasn't just leaving me. She was running from something much bigger. I didn't sleep. Not a single minute. I sat on the living room floor with the bus ticket still in my hand, the back of it smudged from how many times I turned it over in my palm. I kept asking myself what she meant by please go. Go where? Why? And why now? If she wanted me gone, why give me a ticket instead of just leaving? Why leave her phone? Her wallet? Her keys? None of it made sense. By 5:30 a.m., I had convinced myself that there was something I was missing, something physical, real, tangible. Not just feelings and betrayal and whispers and letters, but an actual event. A plan. A place. Because people don't unravel their entire life like this unless they're trying to make space for something new or hide something old. I started tearing through drawers. Hers, mine, the bathroom cabinet, even the laundry basket. I found nothing. Just receipts, lip balm, spare change, socks. The kind of nothing that makes you feel like you're losing your mind. But then, under the bed, wedged between a dusty shoebox and an old winter blanket, I found something that made my blood run cold. A hotel keycard. Plain white. No branding. Just a sticker on the back that read, Windsor Lodge, room 308. I didn't recognize the name. I Googled it. Some low-key place across town, mostly used by business travelers or couples looking to sneak away from their lives. No reviews. No photos. Just a location. And when I saw it on the map, my stomach twisted. It was walking distance from Emery's old apartment. I didn't think. I just threw on shoes, grabbed my hoodie, and walked out into the dark. Still no sign of Letty. No missed calls. No new messages. It was like she'd disappeared into smoke. By the time I got to Windsor Lodge, the sun was starting to rise, casting a dim gray light across the street. The place looked exactly like you'd expect. A half-lit vacancy sign. A lobby that smelled like stale coffee and air freshener. A clerk who barely looked up from his crossword. I didn't say a word to him. I just walked past and climbed the stairs. Room 308. The door looked like any other. Beige. Scratched. Numbers slightly crooked. I stood in front of it for a long time, wondering what I'd find. Her? Him? Them? No one. A body? I slid the card. The green light blinked. And I opened the door. Empty. For a full 5 seconds, I actually felt relief. No suitcase. No shoes. No movement. Just silence. But then I saw the bed. It was made. Neatly. But the second pillow was dented. The corner of the blanket had been turned. And on the nightstand was something I recognized immediately. Her necklace. The silver one with the little leaf pendant. She wore it almost every day. Said it was from her grandmother. She never took it off. Ever. And next to it, a room service receipt. Dated 2 nights ago. 2 entrees. 2 glasses of wine. 1 dessert. And scribbled on the bottom, in the same sharp handwriting I'd seen 100 times before. Keep the room for 1 more night. He doesn't know yet. I sat down on the edge of the bed, completely hollow. That ticket hadn't been a goodbye gift. It was a distraction. A tool. Something to get me out of town long enough for her to wrap up, whatever this was. And yet, she was gone. No sign of her in the room. No clothes. No charger. No suitcase. Just that necklace. And one more thing. I almost missed it. A small folded note wedged in the Bible drawer beneath the nightstand. Not a letter this time. Just 1 sentence, in all caps. If you follow me, I won't come back. I leaned back against the wall and let the words sink in. She knew I would search. She planned for it. She knew I'd find this room, the receipts, the necklace. Maybe she wanted me to. Maybe that was the final nail. Maybe this was her way of saying, don't you dare try to fix this. But the worst part? I still didn't know if she was running from something. Or to someone. I didn't leave the hotel room right away. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, turning that folded sentence over and over in my head. If you follow me, I won't come back. It sounded final, but also like a trap. Like she wanted to make sure I'd think twice. And yet, she left clues. Why leave the necklace? Why leave the receipt with that note? Why leave the keycard buried under the bed where she knew I'd find it if I was desperate enough? Because that's what this was, wasn't it? A trail. A test. And I was failing it. Or maybe I was playing right into it. I couldn't tell the difference anymore. All I knew was that nothing about this felt like a normal affair. Normal betrayal. Normal heartbreak. This was a dismantling. A strategy. I stood up and checked the bathroom. Nothing. No toothbrush. No hair ties. Not even an empty shampoo bottle. Whoever had been here, they were long gone. I slipped the necklace into my pocket and shut the door behind me. In the hallway, I paused by the vending machine, not because I was hungry, but because I didn't know where to go next. Then my phone buzzed. A blocked number. I froze. I hesitated for 3 rings. Then answered. I didn't say anything at first. Neither did they. But I knew that silence. I knew the way it held its breath. Letty, I said quietly. And then she whispered, you weren't supposed to find that room. Her voice was brittle. Not broken. Not angry. Just small. You left it all, I said. The card. The receipt. Your necklace. I thought I had more time, she replied. You weren't supposed to start looking yet. I leaned against the wall and shut my eyes. What are you doing, Letty? What is this? Another pause. Then, something I wasn't expecting. Did you read both letters? Yes, I said. And I found the ticket. You told me to go. I was trying to protect you. I laughed, sharp and bitter. From what? The truth? From memory? From watching my wife disappear without a trace, while I try to figure out if I'm the idiot or the pawn. It's bigger than him, she said. You think this is about love? Lars, he was the beginning, not the end. What does that mean? I can't explain it over the phone. Then tell me where you are. She didn't respond. Letty, tell me where you are. She exhaled shakily, and I thought I heard wind. Cars in the distance, the hiss of traffic. She wasn't in a building. She was outside. Moving. I'm not safe, she finally said. And if you keep following me, you won't be either. My blood went cold. What are you talking about? They know you've started looking. You weren't supposed to. That wasn't part of the plan. Who is they? Silence again. Then, faintly, so faint I wasn't sure if I imagined it. The people Emery was involved with. I stepped out of the hallway and into the early morning light. The sky was gray, the streets wet with leftover rain, and every shadow suddenly felt like it was watching me. Letty, I said, this isn't just about cheating, is it? No, she said. And then the line cut. Just like that. No goodbye. No warning. Just gone. I tried calling back, immediately. But it rang once, then dead. Disconnected. I checked my call history. Nothing. It was already deleted. Like it never happened. I stood there for minutes, trying to make sense of what I had just heard. Her voice had trembled, not with guilt, but with fear. Real fear. And then a thought hit me so hard I said it aloud. Did Emery get in over his head? Because whatever was happening here, it didn't start with an affair. It started with something else. And my wife was running not from love, but from a secret she never meant to carry. I didn't go home right away. After the call, I walked the streets for hours like a man without gravity. I didn't know what I was more afraid of, that I'd find her again, or that I wouldn't. That this whole thing might spiral further into something even darker than betrayal. Something criminal. Something irreversible. But I kept thinking about her voice. Not when she whispered my name or told me she'd made a mistake. No, I was thinking about that last sentence. I'm not safe, and if you keep following me, you won't be either. There was panic in her tone, yes, but also protection. She wasn't just pushing me away. She was shielding me. And for the first time, I realized she was still trying to love me, in the only way she knew how, now that everything was shattered. I went home. I tried to rest. I couldn't. And then, that night, a message came through. No number. Just a single line. Through an encrypted app one didn't know I had. There's a storage unit under your name. Locker 417. Come tomorrow. Alone. No signature. No explanation. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't call the police. I didn't even hesitate. The next morning, I was there. It was a rundown facility on the edge of the industrial district, the kind of place where secrets go to wait. I gave them my ID. They pointed me toward the far corner of the lot. Locker 417. When I opened it, I didn't find Letty, but I found her handwriting. A journal. A small black notebook with pages so full of words they bled into the margins. It wasn't dated. It wasn't organized. But it was real, and it told me everything. About Emery. About how he'd gotten involved with a private consulting firm, but one that operated in gray spaces. Surveillance, intimidation, quiet favors for high-paying clients. About how she'd found out, accidentally, after seeing something on his laptop during a weekend meetup. About how he begged her to stay quiet. About how they were never supposed to fall in love, but it happened anyway, and it complicated everything. She had been scared, not just of what she'd learned, but of who else knew she knew. And when she tried to step away, she realized it was already too late. People had started watching. She was told to keep quiet, told to disappear for a while. Emery, in the end, had tried to protect her by taking the fall. He was gone, not dead, but relocated, hidden, maybe by force, maybe by choice. The journal ended with a page written just for me. Lars, if you're reading this, it means you didn't listen. And part of me is glad you didn't. I never meant to lie to you. I just didn't know how to keep you safe and tell you the truth. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I couldn't watch you get dragged into a mess you never asked for. But if you still believe in the version of me that chose you once, then meet me, 1 week from today, back where we had our first anniversary dinner. If you don't come, I'll understand. But I'll be there. My hands trembled as I closed the notebook. A week passed like a year. And then, on that 7th day, I went to the quiet Italian restaurant by the river, where we'd eaten under cheap string lights and danced to a song neither of us knew the words to. I got there early. I waited. Minutes crawled by, and then I saw her. She was wearing that same green coat, her hair tied up the way I always liked. She looked tired, but real, alive. We didn't say anything at first. We just stood there, breathing the same air again. Then she walked to me, slowly, like she didn't want to break the moment too fast, and said the words I didn't know I needed to hear. I still love you. If you'll let me come home, I will. I didn't answer right away. I just took her hand. And this time, I didn't let go. Not because everything was fixed. Not because everything made sense. But because sometimes, when the storm finally clears, you don't ask why it came. You just hold on to the person who made it through with you.